Taking a look at some tech news in mid-September. Let's see what we've got. Nvidia 5090. They're already gonna release the 5090 series. This thing would probably be flipping. Yeah, that's a lot. 52.4% increase. GDDR7. Oh, 512-bit bus. That's probably what the 4090 is. Pretty much more everything. So if the 4090 is 450 watts maximum power, this thing must be even more. That's crazy. I don't think I would ever use a GPU like this just for the fact that it pumps 450 watts of heat into a room. I mean, if you have a huge room or something, I guess it's fine, but that's a lot. Regular light bulbs were, 65 watts for one bulb, up to like 100 something. So I guess that could be, I don't know, math, 5 lights, something like that. So I guess there would be some situations where a person would have 5 lights in a room. Intel 14th generation, 4% pricier than the original. See, the thing is with these, they're probably on the same manufacturing process. So I don't know how much better it's going to be in reality. I think that they're also changing the CPU socket for the 14th generation. So you got the 12 and the 13 on one socket, and then they changed it. Price increases. Exciting. 6 gigahertz, 24 cores, $833.99 for a CPU. Here's another 14th generation article. Oh, some maybe tests or something. I guess I can look at it. So the 13 series compared to the 14 of the same SKU, 0%, 3% increase. Cinebench, 8% and 14%, 2024. So maybe it's more multi-threaded or something. So it looks barely faster, and they're going to charge more money. So you really only makes sense for people that haven't upgraded to recent stuff. Single digit increase on average. The boost can possibly be achieved by manually overclocking, not clopping. So that's not exciting. Next generation Nintendo Switch, close to the PS4, Xbox One performance. So it's not even current generation close. There are a bunch of games I would like to play. I just can't justify buying it and spending the time. Yeah, I mean, it's cool that they're upgrading it. I feel it might make a weird separation if the newer games won't play properly on the old Switch, but maybe they'll just somehow make it work. But the thing is, it's not just graphics. There's other aspects to a game, computer program. It's going to use the CPU, AI stuff, maybe even using the GPU for AI stuff. So I could see potential issues with basically upgrading it and creating that separation, unless they're just going to most likely be able to play old games on the new thing, but you won't be able to potentially play new games on the old device. Who knows? Again, unrelated to the CPU, they could potentially just have 2 sets of textures and everything. So one for the new one for the old one. ASUS ROG Ally is another one. So Z1, more affordable version. Question is, where is the micro SD slot? Is it right next to the fans like the other one? Because I had problems. Okay, so it is right next to the exhaust port again. That little slot. I'm surprised they didn't move it. The new one's $600, so it's only a $100 difference. 4090. Okay, yeah, this one's over $2,000. So it's a Evangelion 4090 for $2,300. The original suggests an MSRP of $1,600. Seems like a distant memory. Yeah, people bought them at high prices, so I mean, the manufacturing companies were like, hey, if you're going to pay that much, we're just going to keep charging that much. That is gigantor. There's the slot. 40 GPU without 8-pin or 12VH power. So 4070. Oh, it connects to the motherboard. Okay, so this is a specialty thing. Yeah, so it has these pins on the side that with certain motherboards from ASUS, I think. So you don't have to have a power cable, which looks cool, but then it's going to be very niche. And if ASUS stops making those motherboards, you're screwed with your GPU. So in theory, it's cool, but in practice, years into the future, you just might have a dud that you can't use in any current motherboard, or you'll overpay for the motherboard to get that special connector. Although some people might come up with like a wire connection conversion thing, which is possible, but 4060 Ti Cute Pet GPU with Meowstar lighting. I'd take it. Yeah, I've seen basically this card before in previous generations of GPUs. I think Gamers Nexus did a video on this or something. Someone did. $440 for a flippin' 4060 Ti. Generation 2 ARC stuff is starting to be noticed. Drivers. XE2 Mesa patches. Yeah, I feel like I'd be pretty reluctant with the original ARC just for things like Starfield, where it basically was non-functional upon release. Like the most recent APIs, like DirectX whatever, 12 or whatever, but it still didn't work properly. Kinda not great. I'd still consider one of the cheap ones for a AV1 encoding, like on a dedicated stream computer or something. Yeah, like something like this. But I'd probably just want a regular one. So it's got a HDMI and a DisplayPort connection. I don't see any prices. 64-bit memory bus. Data accidentally exposed by Microsoft AI researchers. Oopsie. 38 terabytes of data accidentally exposed by Microsoft AI researchers. Microsoft's AI GitHub repository, including over 30,000 team members, all caused by one misconfigured SaaS token. That's software as a service, depending. So we've got a bucket of open source training data in GitHub, including a disk backup of 2 employees' workstations. Backup included secrets, private keys, passwords, 30,000 internal Microsoft team messages. Researchers shared their files using the Azure feature called SaaS tokens. This storage account wasn't directly exposed to the public, it was private. Experts fear crooks are cracking keys stolen in the LastPass breach. Shocking. Yeah, so I'm not a fan of password managers and all that stuff. Basically, I feel like best practices for websites and such, you're going to have a different password for each website. You're going to potentially use physical keys that you connect to your computer when you need to log in, that does like a handshake thing to the website with your key that goes into a USB port. Things like that. Printable single-use codes, stuff like that. Basically Google how they handle security, at least on the front end. I don't know about the back end. Inside Meta's AI drama, internal feuds over compute power. The Meta platforms release large language models, Lambda and Lambda 2. So it looks like they're fighting to get resources to do their research. So they have shortages of computing power, apparently. Yeah, so anyone that's into gaming with GPUs, that part of the reason that it's gotten so bad probably is because AI is the new cryptocurrency use case for GPU tech on the compute side. So it's not a good thing for gamers. Pricing of GPUs and availability, things like that. Probably going to get worse. Hopefully not. We'll see. TSMC, companies like that have limited capacity for making this stuff, making the chips. And Nvidia will potentially decide to use their available purchase of manufacturing on AI instead of GPUs for gaming. So again, it's potentially bad for gaming GPUs. But hopefully AMD has a good amount of manufacturing capacity too. And also Intel. It's probably everyone and their brothers, uncles, sisters, neighbors, friend knows Apple announced new phones. You got the 15, 15 Pro, 15 Pro Max. Pro and Pro Max, I think the main difference is the size of it, physical size. Let's take a look at specifications if we can find them to get different colors. So, I mean, it's cool that it has a titanium ring, if you want to call it a ring, I don't know. But the main danger is going to be the glass. So 15 Pro, 15 Pro Max, it doesn't even show the other one. I think what they did with the regular 15 is that they took the previous model, repackaged it. The tradition of Apple, you have fixed storage, so you can get up to 1 terabyte in any of these. I mean, for a phone, if you're just using it as a phone, 128's a lot of the time enough. Unless you're doing video stuff, you're doing a lot of gaming. Oh, they both have dynamic island. Exciting. 24mm full frame equivalent field of view on the main camera. f1.78 aperture, and it's a fixed aperture, I assume. So that's decently fast. Sensor shifts optical stabilization, and it does like a down, or it combines pixels on the sensor for better performance. Then we've got a 12 megapixel ultra wide 13mm field of view equivalent to full frame camera. The aperture is smaller. The difference is this has a 3x telephoto, 77mm equivalent, f2.8 aperture, but this one has a 5x, so it's more zoomed in. 120mm field of view equivalent to a full frame camera with optical stabilization. So I mean, it's cool. They upgraded it. Let's look at the regular 15 real quick here. So you got the 15 and there's a 15 plus. The difference in cameras, 26mm full frame field of view equivalent lens, f1.6 aperture, which is a little bit slower than the Pro versions, and you get a bit narrower of a field of view. So in this case, this is not a horrible downgrade, but it is a downgrade. But this, okay, it's a f2.4 aperture instead of a 2.2. I don't know why it would be different compared to the Pro in this. That seems pretty stingy to make it slightly slower aperture. And this one has a 2x optical telephoto, f1.6 aperture. So the aperture on their telephoto for the previous model is faster than f2.8 on the Pro versions. That's interesting, but you're just not going to get as much zoom. I was looking at tech news. Hope you enjoyed it. Tech, I suppose. Thanks.